Hello, welcome back to the good, the bad and the stupid news. It's Tuesday the 6th of August. Going to start off with a bit of a moan actually, because this is how my day started today. This through the post, which is a county court judgment for £275.23 for a parking fine, which is outside my own house, a private road, which somebody complained that I was parked without a permit, where I was just loading stuff into the house. So it went to court and I argued it, sent in what is called I sent in a defence, and they said they didn't receive it. Therefore, because they didn't put a defence in, the fucking judgment's gone against me and I've got to pay £275, which was originally a £35 fine, but I thought, fuck, I ain't paying it because I did nothing wrong. Well, now look where I find myself. And I did send a defence in. I sent in 4 different sets of bloody forms, and then they said, well, did you send it recorded delivery? No. Okay, then it's your fault because we didn't receive it. I says, well, how about you did receive it and then you lost it? But it doesn't really matter because you can't really argue that. So I've got to appeal it and go through a right old fucking rigmarole, jumping through hoops, pay to appeal as well. So, you know, it's either pay £100 to appeal to get off with it, because I will get off with it, had my defence be in, or pay £275. So I've been like a fucking bear with a sore head today, I tell you, with that. Because, you know, the guy who did it as well is the guy who owns the road, and he's the one who he knows it's my van, he knows what I was doing. He's a fucking arsehole. So fuck you and fuck the fucking court system, because I'm not paying it. Well, I'll let you know when the bailiffs has been round and taken some stuff out of the house, and I'll probably be even more pissed off that time. Anyway, let's move on. So aptly, moving on to a thing about bad language. Smart people swear by it. Potty mouth people can seem more honest, credible and persuasive. Well, you know, I think I fall into that category, especially we say here that the average Briton swears 14 times a day. Well, I think I've done that just in the first couple of minutes of this video, so you can imagine how much I get through in a day. But, you know, some people swear, some people don't. They're just going through this. I can't bother to go through all that, but it's just all going on about, you know, the do's and don'ts of swearing. It's going about, you know, even Boris Johnson. Was Boris Johnson calling someone from Turkey a wankerer because it rhymes with Ankara? I thought that was quite funny. You know, some people do, some people don't. Whatever. So I particularly do. I don't mean to, but it's a kind of well, I'm kind of a bit free to do what I want here, but I accidentally do it when I shouldn't do it, you know, in front of kids and stuff like that, when I go, oh, I'm conferencing, go, oh, excuse me, oh, sorry. So I do have to watch my language a little bit, but not here, and not when I've just had a £275 fucking parking fine. Anyway, 2 pilots have taken off on their challenge to fly a newly restored Spitfire 27,000 miles around the world in its first trip of its kind. Fucking jobs for the boys, man. This is the one, isn't it? Steve Brooks from Oxfordshire and Matt Jones from Devon will stop at 100 different locations in 30 different countries. So that's a right old fucking jolly 5-month journey in a project named Silver Spitfire. So they're going to have a right laugh. Yeah, well, they've done it up, so I wonder if they're getting paid to do it, or if they're getting sponsored or something. That's even better, you get paid to do something like that. That's the job. Instead of paying £275 for parking outside your own fucking house. Not even parking, loading. Right, okay, so I'm going to do that. Flying cars are one step closer to reality. Japanese electronics company have successfully unveiled a flying car which hovered steadily around for a minute during the demonstration. They reckon they're going to be, so my thing in yesterday's video or whatever else about jetpacks, I thought they're going to be miles away. They're saying flying cars. They're hoping to have people using them by 2030s. That's only 10 years away. So like fucking, surely we're close to jetpacks. That's less hassle than a flying car. So you know, that dream that I had yesterday could actually be reality within 10 years. So I'll be looking forward to that. I won't have to pay parking fines, will I? Bring it in and out the house. Probably get flying fines or something then, wouldn't you? You get something. There's something. Whatever it is, they'll get their money off you. Or they'll try. Can't beat the man or fight the system. You can try. What's that? Somebody's put a quote. Is that worth saying? A quote of the day: "The unfed mind devours itself." So that's just a quote of the day in the paper. I thought it was, you know, quite interesting. The unfed mind devours itself. So keep yourself busy, or you fucking lose it. The thinnest ever form of gold has been created. 1 million times. I pulled this out just because it is what the actual increment of this is like. It's mind-boggling. A form of gold has been created that is 1 million times thinner than a human fingernail, and the gold is expected to be used for industrial purposes. How the hell are you going to have? It's called gold nano seaweed. 1 million times smaller than a fingernail. That's like, you couldn't even ever see that. No one can see. You probably can't even see that hardly with a microscope. How are you going to work with that? I mean, I don't know what they're going to use it for. Probably mobile phones and all that kind of stuff, wouldn't it? But I just thought it was quite interesting that it was 1 million times smaller than a fingernail. You know, you wonder how something that small could be of any use to anybody, but it seems to be all the powers in the small stuff these days, isn't it? Microchips and all that business. A man who accidentally tossed $23,000 into a bin had his savings returned after a worker at a recycling factory in California spotted a shoebox stuffed with cash. Okay, now he's Mr. Honest. When the man from Oregon realised his mistake, the bin had already gone in a truck bound for the Recology sorting facility. It'd be like me, that if whenever I've lost something like that, I'm like a fucking, you know, I'm like a dog hunt. I hunt it down. I'll try and find it everywhere before I give up. And this guy's obviously rang around going, I dropped a shoebox in, or like I've lost something, and you know, somebody found it and probably had a guilty conscience or something, or not a guilty conscience, but what's the word? Attack of conscience. You know, they found it like shit. If you don't know whose it is, it's like fucking, it's yours, isn't it? It's like brilliant. And then all of a sudden you get some sob story of some guy who's lost it, and he's like, you know, his family are fucked and all this kind of stuff, and you're like, oh no. So he had an attack of conscience to hand it in. So that's brilliant, really. You know, he deserves some really good karma for that. I remember once I found what did I find? I found a wallet, and fucking when I opened it up to see if there was any, to see who it belonged to, so if there was any identification in there, which there was. No, there wasn't any, but it was full of Viagra, and they fell out of the bloody wallet all over the floor as people were passing me, and people picked them up and handed them back to me, and I was like, they ain't mine. So like, anyway, it was at the train station. I left the contact number, and somebody got in touch and said, "Oh, thanks very much for for contacting or leaving your details about my wallet. You know, you saved my life." And I was like, "Well, there's only fucking Viagra in there, so you had to be there. You had to be somewhere in a hurry with a hard on, by the sounds of it." So that was I've had no good karma, too much good karma coming back from that. Anyway, not yet. A Canadian woman can thank metal group Metallica for scaring off an approaching cougar by blasting one of their songs, Don't Tread on Me, to full volume on her iPhone, and the cat bolted away. Yeah, perfect track. I just said heavy rock music scared the cat away. It would scare anybody away, really, wouldn't it? It was like that old 1980s fucking heavy screaming rock. I remember America used heavy rock music to. They couldn't go into an embassy or something or other like that, and they put heavy rock music outside this building and blasted this heavy rock music to somebody that when they came out they were going to be you know, life in prison or something like that, or political. They were going to spend a lot of time in prison, but they were safe in this place. So the Americans put got speakers and put all these speakers. It might have been in Cuba or somewhere, but they put speakers outside the building and blasted out heavy rock music. I don't know if it was these guys, Metallica, but they blasted it out for days, and eventually this person decided on his sanity over, you know, and going to prison for years rather than sticking it out in the building. So, and this reminded me of that story. Yeah, so I wonder what that group was, because it must have been proper shit for them to for a guy to like think, well, life in prison's better than listening to this for another day. An Indonesian man is raising awareness of deforestation in his country by walking 435 miles to the capital, Jakarta, backwards. So he's walking backwards for 435 miles. Never done that. I've moonwalked back from the pub once or twice, but I've never fucking gone further than a couple of miles. He's got a rear view mirror on his backpack, so you can see what he's doing as he's going that way. So, and he's saying that people are giving him funny looks as he's going, because he obviously hasn't told anybody. Well, you can't tell everybody within a 435 mile radius, especially in Jakarta, where it's just jungle or whatever else. So, yeah, good for him. What's he trying to do? Raising money, raising awareness for deforestation. Yeah, so. Unfortunately, he's up against it, isn't he? Because unfortunately, those companies don't give a shit. They're going to deforest. They're going to continue to deforest. But somebody has to say something, and good for him. But you know, they talk about all these carbon footprints, carbon monoxide, carbon footprints, and all that stuff. Well, the forests and the Amazon and the rainforest and that fucking eats up carbon, doesn't it? So. Was it Kenya the other day? They were planting 1 million trees in one day, or they broke a record for planting the most trees in one day. It was something like 2 million in one day to fight against. But then you got on the other side of the world, they're fucking chopping it down by 2 million a day probably in the Amazon. So when they're looking at carbon footprint, they want to sort of fucking look there first. Stop chopping down the trees. Speaking of the Amazon, Brazil, this guy, in Brazil, there's a guy who tried to break out of jail. Did you see this guy tried to break out of jail dressed as his daughter? His daughter had gone to visit him. He's a gang leader and he's in prison for 73 years. So, you know, he probably thought, oh, okay, this is my chance. You know, it had a good go, really. But I was saying that, I don't know if he looks at first glance. You think, yeah, it's quite plausible, obviously with the wig on and everything, but then that's the 3 stages of him having to take it off when they caught him, and he's like wounded because he's been caught and he's got to go back to carry on with his 73 years in probably one of the worst prisons in the world. So a bit of a wounder, but it's a fucking good idea, close but no cigar unfortunately. So now he's on Mega Watch, isn't he? So he won't get another chance. So he's in, what's it called? Solitary confinement. Never mind. And now his daughter's in prison as well. So double whammy. A boy racer has wiped out has destroyed almost £500,000 worth of supercars when he lost control of his Audi Q7 4x4 while crashing into a Porsche, chasing a Porsche, sorry, along a millionaire street. And he's wrote off McLarens, Porsches, Cayenne, Bentley. He hit 11 cars in a row in London in this kind of like wealthy street. So fucking, that's a lot of people waking up with a headache this morning to deal with that. But I don't get that at all. I don't get boy racing or that kind of rev head thing. And he's got a nice car as well, Audi Q7 4x4. That's not quite a nice car, isn't it? So, but that's just fucking childish, isn't it? Bombing it around fucking London and that. You can't get away with anything like that these days anyway. You're on CCTV wherever you go, so surprised he isn't caught before he's like even smashed into all these cars. You know, if he's fucking, if they're boy racers, they're bombing it, aren't they? So anyway, I don't know where I'm going with that one, but it's a shit pastime is what I'm saying. It's a fucking shit boring pastime. Hang around talking about how fucking you souped up your exhaust is or whatever else. Britain's biggest donkey is edging towards becoming the tallest in the world. Britain's biggest donkey. We've got the biggest donkey. Derek, his name is. They've got a donkey called Derek, who is 1/4 of an inch off the biggest donkey in the world. When I pulled this out, I was actually trying to make it related to politics, but I've cocked up the joke there really. So I was going to say Britain's got the biggest donkey. Biggest donkey in the world, and it's not a certain politician that you might that first come to mind. But anyway, we're bigger than the American mammoth jack stock and the biggest breed of other donkeys in the world. So there you go. We're good at something. It might not be football. It's donkey raising. Donkey growing. Right, okay. I don't know. I'm obviously, I think I'm still high off my fine this morning, I think. I think it's still fucking bothering me in the back of my head. I don't know what I'm doing. Right, okay. So, yeah, because this related to that, a mum here refused to pay. She got a £60 fine for collecting her daughter at an airport petrol station. Roof picking. She picked up her girlfriend, her daughter, while she pulled into the petrol station to use the petrol station, and they fined her because she stopped in a prohibited zone. And that's just fucking bullshit. And she was there to use the petrol, and then she got picked up the daughter. And it just reminded me another fine that I'm fighting at the moment, which was when I went into a service station, and when I was in the service station, I was driving along the motorway, there's a big sign saying stop, if you're feeling tired, stop, tiredness kills or whatever. So and I was knackered, so I pulled into the service station, fell asleep in the service station because I stopped for a rest. So I fell asleep. When I woke up, got a coffee and everything, and went on my way. Next thing you know, I got a fucking £70 fine through the post because I'd spent more than 2 hours at this service station. I think I was there for like 2.5 hours or something like that. Well, it didn't say stop, tiredness can kill, but you've only got an hour and a half, and if you don't get it back on the road in an hour and a half, whether you're knackered or not, you're going to fucking get fined. So yeah, so you got to be careful with that. So, if I'd have gone onto the motorway any time, I was absolutely knackered. If I'd have gone on the motorway any time soon, I'd have fell asleep and I'd have been fucking dead. So it was money, all that. So I'm arguing that one as well. I mean, no common sense, is there? You can't tell people to pull over and rest until you're not tired and then fine you for it. I'm sure there's 1 or 2 of you people who are not watching this video that would have similar stories. Anyway, I've googled it and I found out that other people have said we never paid it and do this and do that. So anytime you get like a fine like that, there's always people had similar situations and they're happy to share the information online. So I'll just copy what somebody else has done and I think I even quoted the Magna Carta once and got off with something. So, you know, or something along those lines. I copied this big old copy and paste. And somebody said, I'll just send this in, and it was all about your rights according to the land and all this kind of stuff. He said I sent that in, and I got off with it, and I was being badgered for about, I don't know, a few £100. Anyway, I sent this thing in, and never heard another thing from him. Never heard a peep since. So it worked. I don't know what was in the bloody thing. I couldn't read it or make it out myself. So, but it worked. So there's some good advice for anybody who's, before you pay your fines, check out to get away with them. A room service meal of a sandwich, chips and a beer costs guests up to £50 at a top London hotel. Swiss venues such as the Dorchester charge nearly £30 for a club sandwich, which is basically just a sandwich, isn't it? Before adding a fiver to get it delivered. You'd think in those places, I'm sure that Dorchester is meant to be like fucking, I don't know, is it like 10 grand a night or something ridiculous? Can't they just give them a free sandwich? You know what I mean? They're charging her £30 for the sandwich, and then a cheeky fiver on top of that. You know what I mean? If I was like wealthy or paying 10 grand a night, I want everything on the house from that point onwards. You can't say 10 grand a night and then I want another £30 here and £5 there, and you know, breakfast is another £7. It's like it's pennies in it compared to the 10 grand you've paid for the room. So anyway, I wouldn't be too happy about that. If I was them, I'd go off to. I wouldn't stay in that. I would never. Even if I was rich, I don't think I'd spend 10 grand on a room for one night. That's just crazy. I'd book a Travelodge and go out and spend the 10 grand fucking on the town, and then never even go back into the Travelodge. Just go in to pick up my bag and head home after a party and come up with a massive 10 grand headache. Yeah, that's the way to spend your money. Writer Ruby Carlo, I don't know who she is, puts her glowing complexion down to rubbing her wee. Puts her glowing complexion down to her wee, rubbing some of it on her face every day, and even drinking it in the Glen Burnie, Maryland, US. Well, does that also put down the smell of piss down to you rubbing wee all over yourself as well? Because that's just another crazy gimmick, really, isn't it? I mean, you'll still have she's probably like got a facelift and everything like that, and going, oh, this wee's doing all right, isn't it? You know, that's just silly. I mean, even if it did work, I wouldn't rub my own wee on my face. It's kind of like, well, if I did, I wouldn't tell anybody about it, that's for sure. I certainly wouldn't tell the papers. It's like fucking, you know, some things are best left unsaid. 1 in 20 people admit returning underwear to a shop after they have worn it. Again, some things are best left unsaid. How do they know this? According to a survey of 2,000 Brits. Crazy, some of these surveys that people do, you know, what's they going around asking people, have you ever worn underwear and then took it back to the shops? And somebody going, yeah, I have. Yeah, I've done it a few times. Soiled underwear. It's just, I didn't even think you were allowed to do that. I certainly wouldn't do it, but as I said, some things are best left unsaid. If you are going to do it, keep it to yourself. Stacey Dooley has been slammed for telling people that Muslims sticking their finger in the air is an Islamic IS salute. No, sorry, is an IS salute, and it's actually a Islamic prayer gesture. So she's been slammed for getting it wrong and telling the whole millions of people that are watching it that what is actually just a standard Islamic Muslim prayer gesture as an IS what's it called, IS salute. So that's that, you know, that can get people into trouble. That couldn't it? Because the next thing you know, that's in your head. The next you see somebody doing it, and apparently they do it 4 or 5 times a day, along with their prayers. So if you do see somebody, a Muslim or somebody putting their finger in there like that, don't panic, because it's not what Stacey Dooley's told you. It's perfectly perfectly legit. Anyway, Paul Hollywood. There was Paul Hollywood, the Bake Off star. What's he saying? He's broke his silence to come out and call his girlfriend a game player. It's starting. I told you yesterday. It's kind of the muck's starting to sling. The shit's starting to hit the fan, and he's accused of caught in the paps. And there's 2 sides to every story. And he's saying, my silence on any matters is not a sign of weakness or agreement of what's been said. Take what's read with a pinch of salt. I know the public can't be duped into believing what's out there from a person making money selling stories and caught in the paps. So he's trying to fucking cover his back now before the shit hits the fan, before it all comes out. There's always 2 sides to a story. You've only heard one, but as I don't play those games, you won't be hearing his side. But he's basically just came out and, you know, he's saying he's not talking about it, and then goes on and talks about it for 5 minutes. So yeah, obviously he's panicking there. I wonder what the stories are going to come out. Not that I give a shit, really, to be fair. I just thought it was funny because, you know, that was writing on the wall anyway, wasn't it? So I bet his ex-wife's having a laugh. And he's got a pink-beaked chicken. What did I say yesterday? A pink-beaked chicken called Karen. So keeping him company at the moment. Ed Sheeran popped into a local pub in Birmingham after shooting a music video. The singer sat down for a pint and a packet of crisps at the Eagle and Ton with grime stars JK and H. That's pretty cool, really. I mean, I don't really want to talk about Ed Sheeran, but I thought it was just cool that he's like, you know, I think he's just made 680 million on the tour, you know, but he's sitting in the pub, like, and, you know, blending in like anybody. Whereas some people, the divas of the old music world, wouldn't be seen dead in there, would they? And that's quite a, you know, down to earth pub. That is. I think what was it? UB40. They shot a video in there once called Red Wine. Red Wine. Yeah, but it's a good pub. It's an old, one of the old Victorian pubs. You go there, the Eagle and Ton in Birmingham. That's where I'm from. I think I might have told you that before. I wonder what he's doing in Birmingham. Maybe he's on a, must be doing his concert. Or chilling out after he's made another few million at the concert hall opposite. Right, Gary Lineker. How long have we got left? Gary Lineker has been blasted for joking that he deserves a pay rise on top of his 1.75 million salary. I don't see what the problem is. He's fucking joking, isn't he? He's like, Christ, 20 years. He tweets from a tweet, Christ, 20 years must be due a pay rise. He's only doing it to wind people up, isn't he? And then other people are jumping right into that and going, what, you fucking joking? I'm skint and you're talking about a pay rise and you're on 1.75 million. That's, you know, that's what he does. Don't like it, don't watch him. That's what they pay him, ain't they? They should pay other people more, but, you know, they certainly should be paying women more. But, you know, if that's what he gets, that's what he gets, isn't it? I wouldn't be fucking, you know, if I earn 1.75 million, I ain't going to apologise for it. You know, some people are just so touchy. Just go and get your 1.75 million pound job, and then you don't have to moan about somebody else then, do you? You know, it's life, isn't it? Right, okay. Where are we? Going to finish up now. It's been a bit all over the place, this one, hasn't it? But That's why. It's because the British court system, they've got in my head, they've wound me up. So I'll do some meditating after this video, calm myself down. Right, last two then. Fawlty Towers legend John Cleese has blasted the acting community for disrespecting comic stars. He claims they have a snooty attitude about the skills needed to make audiences laugh. The 79-year-old said, "I have done straight acting, which of course is much easier than comedy acting. Nobody realises that. People think dramatic actors are superior to the best comedy actors, but if you talk to an actor who can do both, the actor will tell you that comedy is much harder than drama." So he's got his being a bonnet about somebody. I'd like to know who that is. Why don't you just come out and tell us who you're on about, John? But you know, it's true, making people laugh isn't easy. I've tried it. I do it actually, and especially with something else come in the paper earlier on about woke audiences, millennials and woke audiences who you can't say fuck all that without offending people. They don't. You say anything slightly offensive, or you've got to kind of edit what you're going to say if you go on the stage. Because I do this, and you do sometimes something works really well in one room, and in another room you'll fucking die on your ass, and as soon as you walk in there you go, I can just see the way this is going to go. So you've got to edit it, otherwise they'll just get offended and stuff like that. So, and it says there, is woke killing the joke? And I don't even know what woke is. It's like a new thing, and everyone's like, let's be. I don't know if people want to be woke or whether it's an insult, but don't be woke, or whatever the fucking woke is. You know, if it's a joke, it's a joke. You can choose. You know, I laugh at stuff that I don't particularly agree with. If it's funny, isn't it? You know, you're getting offended by somebody having an opinion. Again, I think I've mentioned this before, but these people just want jokes and nice, safe jokes. Don't want your opinions, but unfortunately, that's not comedy, so don't go to a comedy club. Or there's going to be a split. You're going to have comedy for them and comedy for them. I think it's even started to happen. You've got like people saying, we're a comedy club that if you're easily offended, don't come. And then you've got other people saying, we don't have any offensive comedy comedians here. So then you're going with a split like that. So yeah, keep it that way. I'll be on the fucking side that's got something about it. You can keep all the bland shit to yourself. Right, okay, I'm going to finish up on this. Hunky builder Nathan Mees is a sight to behold. He is the spitting image of Brad Pitt. Well, that's your opinion. The 33-year-old started being mistaken by the starstruck. He works on a building site in Oxford, and he's often mistaken for Brad Pitt. So people are obviously thinking Brad Pitt's knocking about on a building site in Oxford. And last 2 years, he's been topping up his salary with £500 to £1,000 lookalike appearances of Brad Pitt. Does he look like Brad Pitt? Well, a little bit maybe, but it looks a bit more like fucking Duncan off Blue or something, really. He looks a little bit like Brad Pitt, but if he was walking through Oxford, I wouldn't double take and go, that's Brad Pitt. You know. Anyway. It's how he met his girlfriend, who messaged him on Facebook. He's signing autographs, and people asking for autographs. He's saying, that's just ridiculous. And he met his girlfriend when she messaged him through Facebook because of him looking like Brad Pitt. So anyway, he's obviously getting the ladies. He's obviously getting the attention. So loving it. Why not? I've been called a lot worse than Brad Pitt, I tell you that, and I don't get the ladies all throwing themselves at me, so not yet, anyway. Maybe one or two will get in touch through this video. I doubt it, and tell me that I look like some arsehole from somewhere. Anyway, this will actually going to be, I'm going to start doing this as a podcast as well, so you'll have to look for it on the Good, the Bad and the Stupid news, which will be on, I think, Podbean. So I'm going to, in one of the next videos, I'll tell you which one. So if you don't want to look at my ugly mug, it's going to be on audio as well. So you can listen to it or not. And hopefully going to be another one tomorrow. So tune in. I'll see you then. Bye.